Hi, and welcome back to Art A&A with Leslie Davidson and the artistasentrepreneur.com. This is part 2 of my interview with Helen Walter and Keith Thurgood from wilsonstreetstudio.ca. You can check out all the artist retreat information on their website. Thanks for listening. Enjoy.
Well, I think, it does expose us to other people. Other people have, as a result, see our work.
What I was going to say is that what we found in the past is people who buy art tend to do art. A lot of people buying art have dabbled in art and they know what it's like and they appreciate it, and then they go and buy it. So we see that with instructors all the time, that their students are, want to buy their art. And so as we meet more and more students and they are impressed by our art, whether they buy it or whether they tell other people about these wonderful artists, it just increases our exposure and the awareness of people. Because, in this day and age, it's very, very difficult to get into galleries. So many galleries are going out of business, and so there's fewer and fewer galleries, and they want a sure thing with new artists. They want artists that are already selling who don't need galleries. Those are the artists they want to bring in. So as new artists, really,
taking our own.
we need to gain a reputation. Part of that is teaching, by hosting these things, by having all these other artists see our art.
And going to other plein air festivals, like the Finger Lakes Festival that we're going to this summer.
We just got accepted by the plein air, I can't remember what it's called, Finger Lakes Plein Air Society or something like that. And they're having a big plein air competition, and we were accepted in that. Because it was a jury show. You couldn't go down and paint in the competition unless you were accepted first. So we got that. So get exposure down there.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I'm going to say something that sounds very trite, but I just watched a tiny bit of Anderson because they had something on that I was going to be interested in. But at the end, there was a talk about making your own luck. And it seems the best way to make your luck, to have luck, is to put yourself out there. Get out of your comfort zone, put yourself out there, and, put yourself on stage. And, I did that as a public speaker.
Yes.
Scared to death. And stand up, start talking, see what happens. And what do you know? It works.
It does work, yeah.
So you have to be visible. And it's not comfortable, and especially for artists, a lot of us would just as soon be quietly cocooned away in our studios and just doing our thing, and we're not out there public people. But people want to know artists. People want to get, sort of a personal vibe out of you, and you have to be okay with doing that. And the more you're seen, the more people you get to know, the more people get to know you. And I think for us, it's very easy to be lazy and just not do all that much sometimes because you're not in the mood. And people say to us, God, you guys paint a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we paint a lot. And I think when you have an art retreat and when you apply for a show and they say, all right, bring stuff, you think, oh my God, I've got to produce product. Well, I think the more you paint, the better you get. It's supposed to be, what is it, painting a day or 3 a week or something? And you've got to do 10,000 paintings before you're really good.
Yeah, that's the Outliers,
Close.
I guess. Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers, 10,000 hours.
That's it. So
I'm hoping to cheat.
Just kind of leapfrog over the 10,000 and go straight to from 1 to 10 if no one's looking.
Well, one thing I found that's really advanced me, and I don't know if you agree or not, but once we started doing plein air, once we started painting out in the real world,
it changed.
It changed our art immensely from what we were doing in the studio.
Why?
You can, I don't know.
I think you see things differently. I think if you're looking at something close up, or you're looking at a photograph, your brain works differently. And I just posted a blog, which I'll publish tonight. And some of my students, their greatest quest is to be looser. They just want to loosen up, and they want to paint in a loose style. And so there was one I posted that I emailed to my class, and they said, oh, I love this looseness. And I put a note to say, it's loose because it was cold, it was miserable, and I was dreaming about that coffee shop down the road with that hot chocolate. So I was thinking about just laying the paint down and getting on with it, finishing and going somewhere. No time to fuss. And it was sometimes for me, the faster I paint, the better the result. And that happens outside because, there's the sun and there's bugs and there's rain and there's all kinds of stuff. So you look, and I think you analyze differently. And maybe that's what helped us.
Well, I could say read my blog, because the first thing on the blog was our story of our first plein air outing. So it tells about both the terror and the surprise of it. You can remember about what I was like in your class.
Well,
it was many years ago.
That's
go
ahead.
And now I go out and paint in front of people. I give demos. We paint on the street. I've become the president of the Ontario Plein Air Society, because plein air painting has so changed the way we approach painting. It's just, I'm sort of going around proselytizing about this. It's just the way to paint.
Well,
but once you get back into the studio, and whatever it was that you got into the habit of doing outside, kind of stays with you. So not entirely, though, I find.
Well, I told you there was a huge difference. There was there was a huge difference from when I knew you guys years ago in painting to then coming last December to see all your new work, all your gobs and gobs and gobs and gobs of new work. Like, just the sheer amount of it was mind-blowing, A. And then the changes were like night and day. It really was just amazing. And I kind of got chills, when you're in the presence of, now, seriously, because you've moved way out of amateur, you're into this work stands on its own, and there was so much going on in the depth of the color choices and the composition, and it was really, I loved it. I loved your work. I love where you guys have gone with it, and the plein air is obviously just done wonders for your technique and your skill. It's good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll have to get you to come to one.
Well, yeah, I mean, flutter.
Well,
I'd like to, absolutely. For sure. I think that would be right up my alley.
I think about, but even in your class, Keith made strides, because that first go at those rocks was painful, wasn't it? It was
God.
Sort of, there was almost porridge.
The 10th go at the rocks was terrible. It wasn't until you did something, I can't remember what it was, Leslie, but the rocks came together that time.
Yes, I think you and Keith had an epiphany at the same time, and something, and that probably was where he decided he could do a second painting.
I've had difficult students before, but you were the worst student I've ever had. Truly the worst student, just because
Yeah.
I tried,
I
oh, well, how about this? Well, how about this? Well, let's try this way. And then, God, and there was literally times where I would lie in bed and going, oh my God, I have class tomorrow with Keith. What am I going to do? Literally. Which is
and
why
I
every
felt so
time I
sorry
would come
for
to class with some other, well, maybe this will work. Well, maybe this is what he's looking for. But literally, I swear to you, I don't think anyone could teach you how you wanted to paint.
Um,
You wanted to
well, actually,
pull it out of yourself in a way that no one else could give you.
most teachers have said that about me since I've been in public school. So yeah,
God,
it's not just art.
it was so
Yeah.
painful. I can't believe you're still painting, to be quite honest. I expected every class was going to be the last time that I saw Keith in class.
yeah.
And not only that, but you guys came back
Ex-
for a second class too. I couldn't believe it. And I
I
saw
know.
they signed up again.
Came back for the second round.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't believe this. I thought you hated it. Hated it,
And
hated me, hated painting, hated acrylics.
and I said to Keith, look, if you're going to do this, I'm not coming because if you're not enjoying it, what do you think I'm going through here?
Right,
You
because
know,
you're the
we're
reason he's
not doing
there.
this. Yes. So our
And I
yeah,
just said, look, you must enjoy it. That's the command. Enjoy. She
and
doesn't actually listen to any of my
we
commands, so
we
but she
I
did
don't
keep
know.
going.
I don't know why persistence is our middle name because we're so flawed. I don't. But somehow I think a certain stubborn streak, that says no, I'm going to get it,
Well, and you
and
guys did
maybe
it.
that's work.
Like, you guys did it. You guys have developed your own really personal style and application. Like, I don't know, I'm just really, I still have trouble taking that to this, to where you are now, which is so different from that. Like, it's really just fantastic.
You know what I think?
Stop it! Look at
In-
his
in- in
face. He's all like, ugh.
Going right back to entrepreneurship,
Right.
I think a lot of artists think that entrepreneurship is a special quality and an idea that they're not business people. Well, I never was a business person and I never was an entrepreneur, but I was somebody who suddenly had no choice, and it was sink or swim. And so we became self-taught at everything we did, and whether it was audiovisual production, because there wasn't even a course. We were both the teachers and the students at Ryerson at the time. And, if a client says, this audiovisual is due because 900 guys are showing up at Deerhurst Inn, you don't say, oh, I'm sorry, it's not done. You show up and you learn and you do whatever has to be done. And so that kind of business responsibility is something that I don't know where we got it. I'm sure our families were just surprised as anything, but we have it and we stick to it. And if you have the plague or the flu and it's due, you show up and you do it. And I think because we've done that for 23 years in business, it's how we approach art. It's not like, oh, don't feel like. It's what we do.
Well, it's called genes.
Donkey genes, yes. You put all that load on the donkey, and the donkey just knows it's got to put, one leg in front of the other.
Just keeps on plodding forward.
Well,
So
it's
that's what we have.
interesting
But
that
you know
you
the
brought.
donkey.
It's interesting you brought up the whole aspect of the gallery pathway isn't really the viable avenue it used to be for artists. And you guys are enterprising and using the internet and using retreats and building other avenues to get the word out and that's entrepreneurship as an artist. And I think it's a necessary. It's a necessity. It has to happen. You have to be doing it in some way. Or
Woody Allen said showing up was what?
Half the battle.
90%?
Oh, was it 90%? I'm thinking it's half the
90.
battle.
What do you, yeah. Einstein said the right question was half the battle or something, but yeah, he said showing up was 80% or something like that. My mentor.
It's true.
Yeah, getting into galleries is really difficult. Art shows themselves aren't, the art in the parks and things like that. They're not getting as many people out. The people aren't buying as much. The whole industry is suffering. You have to, but you have to keep persisting. You have to keep getting your work out in front of people, because people will eventually start buying. Unless you produce absolute crap and nobody wants it. But then again, you look at what passes for some art nowadays, and people buy it and they pay huge amounts of money for things that some people might not hang on the wall. So,
Yeah. Well,
there's no, oh, this is suddenly art that's worth buying, and all the rest of the art isn't. It's just, how do you get in front of enough people so that the right people for you see what you're doing?
I have this belief that my mother always had these great sayings, and I still live with some of them. And one of them was about the pendulum. She said, if the pendulum is here, trust me, it's going to be there one day. And then it's going to be back here again. So whatever this pendulum is, things change. And I think when they change for the other side, I want to be there. I want to be there. I want to be ready. I want to have product, and I want to have a name.
Well, I think you guys are providing what I see the market is moving to, where it's more about experience. Like, you're offering the experience of art, the immersion in art. And that, in like what's happening with the publishing industry, that's just imploding. You can sell books with experience, paired with an experience of a topic, and you're offering that in art, to be immersed in experiences, as opposed to just a product on a wall.
Yeah. Although it would sure be nice to have them buying it, hanging them on the wall more often.
But they still do. Keith just sold a painting, so that's,
congratulations! There you go.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think it is about experience. I mean, sometimes people don't want to buy a book; they want to write a book. Right. They may not want to buy a painting, or they don't feel they're ready to buy a painting, but they'd like to be doing art.
Right.
More people want to be doing that, and they're just as afraid of, or as lost about, how do I start?
Right.
How do I know I even know what I'm doing? Who do I trust?
Yeah.
So there's that side of the art business.
Well,
and eventually, I think Keith is right. Those are also the people who will eventually want to buy a painting and have a piece by somebody they have enjoyed as a person, and they like the style.
Well, people buy off of people they like and trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's, because when it's on the wall, it has a double meaning. It's more than whatever they've read into the painting. It's also, there's a story behind it about how they got it.
Exactly, and what they can tell their friends about the artist they know, who they bought it from.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Although, galleries still hold a place, because the painting I just sold, the other venue, of course, is the jury show. You put your stuff out and you get accepted or you get rejected. And as an artist, you have to, just shrug if you're rejected, because Helen's had a piece that won a major prize, and then at the next show it was rejected and wasn't even accepted in. But the thing is, you get things in juried shows, people come out because they want to see these juried shows, and pieces sell. But you have to be willing to go further away than just your own surrounding. The show that we were in, that my piece sold in, is up in Midland. And that's a fair hike up there, and only one of my pieces was in, and it didn't win any jury prizes, although they did use it for the cover of their brochure. and then somebody came in and bought it. And so, okay, I didn't win any prizes, but I got the sale.
Yay.
And that's the point too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and with
Absolutely.
any
Yes.
with any luck, with any luck, the person who bought it will have my information or our information, and perhaps might even go to the website, see other things they like, tell other people about it. They might comment. You have to get out. You have to be persistent and have lots of chances for people to come across you in your work.
Well, let me ask you something,
Uh,
and I don't know if
Yeah.
this is appropriate or not, but do you have access to the information of the gentleman or gentlewoman who bought your work? Is that something that you're allowed to
um,
do, is to contact them then as a personal? Because I mean, they're a collector now, right?
usually not with galleries. Usually the gallery wants to hang on to that because that's their, they see it as their client. Happen to be selling our product. The same way as the manufacturer of the computer doesn't get to find out who bought it from the reseller of the computer. So
But if you're online, they can Google your name
yeah,
and find your site where the rest of your art is. So if it doesn't go one way, it can certainly go the other.
yeah, it's important for any artist to make sure that all of their contact information is on their painting. Like at the very least, a card sort of glued into the back of the painting, if not a sort of an artist sheet on there, so this when somebody does take it away, they can and read your story, find out more about you, visit your website or your blog or whatever, and
Yeah.
buy into it. When we first started doing shows and things, we didn't do that, and so they became, you'd sell a painting, but that would be a dead end.
It's like an
So now
orphan.
all our paintings, when they're sold, they go out. Yeah,
Yes.
they go out with information about us, and the idea is it eventually leads back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But there's
that's
certain
smart.
critical mass that you have to get out there to do that.
And I've had people who didn't buy at the show and then followed up afterwards because they said they wanted to, could they come over and see the work? Did we have a studio? Did we have a place to show the work? Because they'd like to see other work. And or they didn't have a chance at the time, but right now, is that piece still available? So a way of contacting you is important.
Yeah.
And I remember being at one show, and a woman came up to me and started asking me about my personal background. She said, were you born in Czechoslovakia? Did you used to live in, did you come to Canada? And I'm looking at her like, why would you think that, looking at my work? And she said, I bought one of your paintings for my husband as a gift, and that information was on the back. And she said, and this style is, we're looking at it, we're really loving it, and we're thinking, this has to be the same artist. And so from a piece I'd sold that I wasn't even around at the time it was sold at one of our sort of multiple artist shows, she knew all this about me. And that's quite remarkable. And I think it also goes to being sort of consistent with your style, so that when they come across paintings that, the subject is so different, but, oh, that's our TV clicking, and I gotta go and,
Hey, you had telephone
I
ringing.
know.
like,
Well, that's great. I love the story
The-
about your personal branding added to every piece that you sell. I think that's a fantastic idea to have your story with that, so it goes out with a little piece of you with it. Because I mean, honestly,
Yes.
Helen, your personality is so strong, and I think so forming everything that you do. To back away from that or to not put that forward would be like a shame, you know?
that's interesting. I mean, it's hard to think about yourself in those terms. You think, oh, typically, aw shucks. But so thank you for that. It's a good pointer.
Well, don't.
Sometimes you do it and you don't even know that you've done it. I think that's, and it's better to do it consistently and thoughtfully that way.
Well, I think generally most artists have a personality brand, whether they want to admit it or not. I mean, that's a lot of at core what's going on there and the connection that's made And I just wish
That would
more
be an interesting
artists.
workshop, wouldn't it?
Pardon?
That would be an interesting workshop. Sort
Yes,
of
wouldn't it?
doing an analysis and saying to an artist, by the way, this is what we see, and this is, in case you weren't paying attention and you just had your nose and brush to the canvas and you didn't look up to check out the effect you were having
Right.
on your art and those around you.
Exactly.
This is what we think.
Yeah.
It's quite common actually as marketing advisors. We would get people who would say, well, I don't need a brand. And we would say, well, you don't produce the brand. Your audience is giving you a brand whether you want it or not.
Right.
It's just,
It's
are
how
you
they think.
going to control the brand, or are you going to let the brand control you? And so artists are often reluctant to think of things like marketing or having a brand or anything like that, because they sort of feel it somehow demeans the art or something like that.
Yeah.
But they don't realize doing nothing is still marketing. It's just bad marketing. So if you're gonna be there, you
love
might as well just
that.
do good marketing.
That's going to be my header. Doing nothing is marketing. It's just bad marketing. That's perfect because it's true. It's true. So many people don't
Yeah.
Well,
think about this.
that will probably end up on my site, because my Facebook page, I have all these quotations. But you know how people quote Einstein and
Yeah.
all the quotations on my site are quotations of me,
By him.
because
Yeah.
I say things.
Wait,
so they all
what's that
become
one?
my.
I know. I like to burn bridges completely and thoroughly. Was that
But
yours?
Nothing so satisfying as a bridge well burned.
That's it. That's
That's
it. That's it.
But the other one is, when I burn my bridges, I burn them to stay burned.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So,
Yeah.
do you have any last words for your artist retreats?
Oh, that
or-
sounds so final.
Woo!
Well,
No, actually, it's funny.
it's almost. We're coming up on an
I was-
hour. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, yeah, I know, I can see it. I was just thinking that my first thoughts
Is that your
about
cat?
being an
Wait.
artist when I was yeah.
I'm just like, what
She's
is
got
that?
much
What's
to
that
say.
noise?
Yes. Well, she's
That's our diva, Tosca.
and she thinks we should be watching Jeopardy and what's taking so long. But I could never see myself as a business person. I thought that was just so not where I could ever go and successfully. And I wanted to be an artist. And I saw myself sort of painting in a garret in Paris, very romantic. Somehow I knew I would be good, and yet I would be poor, because I never equated being good with making money. I mean, who would? How unromantic. And my friends would come and call on me or call me down to the cafe, and they would have the wine and the cigarettes and the coffee. Remember, we used to smoke, ready. And I just saw that as my life. And none of that happened. I even went to Paris 3 times before I even liked it. And I had no, if you had told me that I would be having my best artistic years in Markham, are you kidding?
But you have a garret. You painted
Yes, I
a
do.
garret.
Absolutely. So things, way up in the attic, and I have wine up there, and music, French music, and it has come full circle. It has. And I did wake up and realize that you could equate good with money. So small lessons, but what goes around comes around, and dreams come true.
Beautiful.
From way back when you were 14 and now, or 16, and now I'm 66. So took half a century, Leslie.
Well, thank you both for sharing your pearls of wisdom with me. I hope we can touch base again.
Yes.
Sure.
And I think I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, I'd like to include some stills of your on location, and some of the pieces that you've created while on your retreats. I think that would be a great addition to this video.
Got lots of shots.
Perfect. Perfect. So, great. Thanks again, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Helen and
Thank
Keith
you.
of WilsonStreetStudios.com. That's correct, Wilson Street Studios.
.ca.
Oh, .ca. My
Wilson Street
apologies.
Studios singular. Well, actually, we have two websites. One is Wilson Street Studios plural.com, and one is Wilson Street Studio singular.ca.
Okay. Well, I'll have them
They have
both.
similar information.
Yeah. See you there.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.